G'day there guys, it's Connie here again from Marquee Industries, and we are back with some more stories from Reddit. As always, if you enjoy these videos, be sure to hit like and subscribe, and also the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Alrighty, let's get right into it. Alrighty folks, we're on relationships. This one was written by user MessyMess123, and it's titled, Me with my boyfriend, duration 1.5 years. My BFF came out as lesbian, and my boyfriend is furious with me. I'm going to keep this short. I've been best friends with Nina for 12 years now. We became especially close about 10 years ago when she confided in me that she was gay and depressed. She comes from a conservative Christian family. She was dealing with a lot of personality conflict and was suicidal even for a while. I became her support and cheerleader and encouraged her to get therapy. I went with her to LGBT support groups, and while her mental health improved, she decided to stay in the closet. She dated a few girls through the years, disguised as close friends and roommates. I was the only one who knew about her relationships. Now, like many female BFFs, we spend a lot of time together and know an unhealthy amount of info about each other's private and personal lives. She has also supported me through my difficult times and is truly my sister in spirit. I've been dating my boyfriend for a bit over a year now, and things are getting serious. We're at a point of discussing future plans, like moving in together, and timeline for marriage, etc. We have a good relationship overall. Now, 2 weeks ago, on her birthday, Nina finally came out, first to her family and then on Facebook to everyone. A lot of her family has abandoned her over it, so I invited her to spend Thanksgiving with us. I'm Canadian. We had our own small dinner with just some close friends on Saturday. At dinner, Nina gave an emotional speech and thanked us for loving her as she is, and then thanked me especially for saving her life, her words, and supporting her all through these years. Well, after everyone left, I could say my boyfriend looked irate. I asked him what was wrong, and he suddenly kind of exploded, like, "You knew that she was gay?" I was like, yeah, and I thought he was upset I never shared it with him, and started explaining that it was not my secret to share. He goes on to explain he feels betrayed that I had a close friend who would be sexually interested in me. He went on about all the times I spent the night at her house, even sleeping in the same bed with her, and concluded that I've basically been cheating on him this whole time. I was baffled and mad, and answered probably louder than I should have that he was insane and she is my best friend and basically my sister, and what he was accusing me of was sick, and he needs to either apologize or get the F out of my apartment. Well, he did, and later texted me to uninvite me to his family's dinner, which was on Monday. He said if he was this close to a girl, I'd be mad too. I think his comparison is insane. Anyways, it's been almost a week and neither of us think we should apologize. What do you think? What would you do? I'm tired of living like this. Even a breakup would be less frustrating at this point. He claims I disrespected our relationship, and I think he's way out of line. Who is wrong here? Yeah, I mean, it's obvious the boyfriend is overreacting way too much. It's not as black and white as he thinks it is. Like, this is a lifelong friend. Like Opie said, they're like siblings. It's not like it's just some random person who happens to be gay that she's sleeping in the same bed as. Let's go to the comments. Personally, I find it very important to have platonic friendships with the level of intimacy you have with your friend. But by your boyfriend's logic, I, as a bisexual person, could never have intimate platonic relationships with anyone because they would all count as cheating. Your mileage may vary, but that belief would be a big deal breaker for me and a partner. Bullet dodged. He's acting like you have no agency, and that since your friend is gay that she can't control herself either. Sure sounds like he's someone that can't have close female friends since he can't control himself and he's projecting. Yeah, let this be a breakup. Your boyfriend is acting like an a-hole and an infant. Of course, you don't out someone else, and you two are nearly in your 30s. You should both have no difficulty at this point having platonic friendships with people who may also be, generally speaking, sexually attracted to people of your gender. I could give him a bit of a pass on some initial shock, but that is now over. It's been a week. If he's sticking to his guns on feeling betrayed and believing your friendship was inappropriate, that he is lacking in some fundamental trust and respect for you. Opie replies, "Thank you, I'm so glad to hear it from someone else. It's such a personal secret, it never even occurred to me to share it with any of my partners. With anyone, really." Yeah, absolutely. And I just realised I skipped out on giving the ages of these people in the title. The boyfriend is 30. 30. Let that sink in. Alright, let's go to an update. Hello all. Wow, my post exploded. I did not see that coming. Sorry it's been a while. The day after I posted my original story, my dad suffered an accident at work which led to him being hospitalised. He is okay now, resting at home and has not suffered any long-term injuries. I did eventually read all the comments. Thank you for all the love and support and advice. To the LGBT folks who thanked me for keeping my friend's secret, I did what any person should do. I hope each and every one of you find great friends and a strong support system. To people defending him being upset, I just hope no one ever trusts you with their secret. Third party's secret has nothing to do with your relationship. Don't share other people's stuff for the sake of honesty in a relationship. WTF? Also, here is my response to a few common questions. No, I still do not agree my situation was the same as him having a super intimate straight female friend. I am straight. I've been close with Nina for over a decade. Not once have we had an awkward or romantic moment. The closest example would be him having a gay male friend. Also, I know I'm going to be crucified for saying this, but male and female friendship with the same gender are different. Males and females bond differently with their own gender. Not always, of course, but generally female besties are closer than male besties in sense of physical boundaries. I can understand his disappointment. I was ready to comfort and assure him that me not sharing Nina's secret was not due to lack of my trust in him, but in no way I feel like I betrayed him or prioritized Nina over him. I always spent a healthy amount of time with him. We both agreed we want a little independence in our relationship. It was one of the things that made us a better couple. During my time in the hospital, my boyfriend came around once asking about my dad and asked to put our fight on pause. I agreed initially. But then a few days ago, he came around again and we got lunch, and as we were talking, he said something like, "When you're feeling better and are ready to discuss and apologize, we should talk." And that just set me off, but I stayed calm and said that I apologize for yelling and nothing more. I refused to apologize for keeping a secret, and I'm expecting his apology for accusing me of cheating. Long story short, I broke up with him. He has been sending me texts ranging from "let's stay friends" to "he never wants to see me again" to mild anger and today a "let's talk again." I'm done. I don't know if this is healthy, but I'm already over it. Nina is truly my sister in spirit and has been in my life for much longer. We are going to Cuba with a few other friends for winter holidays. Thanks again for your support. Maybe I'll meet someone. I know there are plenty of men out there without a pornographic view on lesbians and with better understanding of female friendship. Edit to add, haha, I love how people are piling on about sleeping in the same bed. She's my close friend with zero sexual tension. I'm straight, so if he can't trust me around someone I'm not attracted to, why bother dating him? What if I ever make a male friend? Will I not be allowed near him? People are capable of non-sexual physical contact, so if he can't wrap his tiny mind around it, it's up to him. One comment says, I'm a dude. My best friend is gay. I'm 100% straight. I've shared beds and tents with him. My wife gives 0 Fs. Don't listen to the insecure trolls and enjoy the single life. Opie replies, good for you. It's about time men get close and comfy with their best friends without judgment from trolls. Yay, I wish I could have seen his face when you calmly held the rage boiling up and said, I did nothing wrong and I won't apologize. Sweet, sweet justice. Have a great friendship with your spirit sister. Opie says, gotta say I am proud. I regret losing my cool first time around, and I was ready to apologize for it too. 2 big takeaways. One is that I'm happy Opie is out because that boyfriend sounds awful, and 2 is that I forgot Thanksgiving is 2 weeks away and I have nothing planned for it. As a gay person, I would also point out that it's highly unlikely that I would carry on a long-term close friendship with a straight guy to whom I was attracted. That would be very painful and difficult. I've had very close straight friends over periods of years, and almost always I've not been attracted to them in the slightest, or any initial attraction has waned very quickly. Someone being theoretically the correct gender for you to be attracted to does not automatically mean you will be. Yeah, exactly. Where do you draw the line? And like Opie said, what if she gets a male friend? Like, come on man, friends can be friends and nothing else. Anyway, what do you guys think about that story? Let me know down below. Maybe you got a similar story you'd like to share. Otherwise, we're moving on to another story. Alrighty, over on Chew Off My Chest, this one was written by user Holiday Gourmet Turkey, and it's titled, I just found out why my boyfriend never holds my toddler niece. Sorry, this is going to be a long one. I, 27 female, have been with my boyfriend, 28, Jay, for 5 years. We've both been very close with each other's families, and we've even talked about marriage. However, one touchy subject is children. Whenever we discuss it, he gets kinda standoffish. He doesn't really dismiss the idea though, it's just that he doesn't seem invested. I've always wanted kids, and he just always says he's fine with whatever makes me happy. Ever since, I've been content with this situation. However, things escalated during this holiday season. Our setup has always been that Jay spends Christmas Eve and dinner with my family, then I spend Christmas Day with his family. This was the first Christmas I'll spend with my first and only niece, too, Anna. She spent her first Christmas in the hospital due to her health condition, but she's okay now. So I made sure to spend a lot of time with her. We played a lot, we opened gifts together, and I even reenacted Anna's favourite storybook using her favourite doll. We even had matching outfits. My sister, 30, Amy, thanked me for giving her and her husband some relief from childcare the entire day. However, Amy also said that she noticed that Jay, who was just either sitting on the couch watching me or helping my mum with the dishes, was kinda distant with Anna. I told her I've also noticed that before, and I just chalked it up to maybe Jay was hesitant and awkward to play with Anna because he feels he's just my boyfriend. Then Amy said she won't mind, since she and her husband already treat Jay as part of our family. I then went back to Jay and encouraged him to play with Anna and help us set up her new dollhouse, but he said he's not feeling too well. He ended up drinking a few more beers and stayed on the porch by himself, scrolling on his phone. I didn't press harder and thought he might really just be feeling under the weather. I just want to add for context that Jay isn't an alcoholic. He's a sweet, wonderful, funny man who's sometimes broody and deep in thought, but he's never abusive, manipulative, or moody, and he only drinks on special occasions. The next day, on Christmas Day, we had lunch with Jay's family. Afterward, I volunteered for cleanup to help Jay's mum, 62, Mary, and brother, 31, John. Jay's family was the best any significant other could ever ask for. They're very sweet and supportive of us, but they're never prying. They always check up on us, but they never overstep. So as we were cleaning up, Mary asked me how my sister's baby was. They helped with the bills when Anna was hospitalized last year. I told them that Anna's in a great condition now and that she already spent the Christmas at home. They were very delighted upon hearing this. Then I shared with them the thing I noticed about Jay. Initially, I thought Mary could just give me advice on how to approach the issue with Jay since he's clearly not the playing with kids kind of guy, but then John casually said something like, "Oh, because of Rosie." Then Mary quickly shushed him. Rosie was the daughter of Jay and John's eldest sister, Beth, 35. I never knew the actual details because everyone was very secretive about it, but all I knew was that Rosie passed away when she was just 3 years old, and Beth and her husband moved away afterwards. I never met them in person. So, later that night, when Mary, John, and the other family members got a bit more drunk, and Jay was already sleeping in the bedroom, they told me the story. I didn't force them or anything. Apparently, Jay, being the youngest of the siblings, was really close with Rosie back then. Jay was just around 14 years old when Rosie was born, so he became the super fun uncle, like I am now with Anna. He was actually Rosie's best friend. Then, on the summer of 2012, Jay was playing with Rosie outside. He was blowing bubbles and she was chasing and popping them, when a speeding car, driven by a woman who was distracted on her phone, skidded into the yard towards Rosie's direction. Jay reacted quickly and was able to reach and grab Rosie, so the car actually hit him, but the impact of the crash caused Rosie's head to whiplash as Jay hugged her. Jay was in a coma for 3 days and had multiple severe injuries and internal bleeding, but Rosie didn't make it. Everything was caught by the neighbours' CCTV, so everyone knew that Jay was a hero for trying to protect Rosie. It was even covered by the local news. But Beth, who was understandably in grief, resented Jay for not being able to save her daughter. Beth and her husband then decided to move to another country to cope with their grief and start a new life, and they've had minimal contact with the family ever since. Jay, meanwhile, took the loss really hard. He blamed himself for not being able to save Rosie and not being able to attend her funeral since he was still at the hospital at that time. Mary said that Jay was never the same after that. He never went near kids, and he became a lot colder, quieter, more reserved and antisocial. He also had anger issues, but it thankfully went away. I haven't had any issues with this. We also live in an area where people don't believe in therapy, so Jay never received professional help. After learning all of this, I bawled my eyes out because I never knew Jay was carrying such a heavy burden. The whole incident became a taboo family secret that no one mentions in fear of Jay breaking down or doing something he might regret. Although to be fair, he's never had violent or self-harm tendencies ever since, so this was just a precaution. They also never told me before because they assumed Jay would be the one to tell me, but I told them that he never did, and that I never really asked him. I then thanked everyone for letting me in on this, and I told them that I'd talk to Jay about it when the time is right. They understood, and they said I could just ring them up if I need help or support in any way. For now, I just want Jay to enjoy the holidays and his remaining vacation days from work. Now, I don't really know how to start with him. I know seeking professional help to process all the trauma and grief, even if it's been over a decade ago, would be the top priority, but I don't know how to bring it up to him. I don't even know when it's the right time to bring it up. I just want him to know that I love him no matter what, and that I'll support him in every step towards his healing, especially if we're to form a family of our own. Oh wow, that's so sad. Yeah, but it's pretty clear he needs to talk to someone about this ASAP. You're never going to be better off holding things like this to your chest for so long. Let's go to some comments. Jay is amazing. What a shame his sister blamed him, but I guess that's what grief does to you. I hope he gets the therapy he needs. Opie says, from what I gathered from Jay's family, Beth never really voiced out that she blamed Jay for Rosie's passing. However, she became cold towards him to the point of almost ignoring him during family gatherings before they moved. Of course, everyone knew what it was all about. Maybe you guys can start couples counselling. Jay has been living with his guilt, sadness and anger for so long. He might not be receptive to individual therapy, but maybe if you go together, it can open the door to healing and communication. Maybe with your love and support in couples counselling, it will propel him further. But the last part of your post is all you can do, OP. Show Jay how much you love him and how much you crave to listen to all that he has to share. Be his safe space, his partner. I will join this opinion with huge approval. Even though you really love Jay, it's most likely he'll have a hard time opening up about it, and even if he says he's okay, do you know if he ever saw any therapist? This is the kind of thing that I feel would give PTSD to anyone. Also, remember that he does not know that you know, and might take badly to the fact that the family revealed it to you, so make sure to remind him not to get mad at them, that it was a slip of the tongue and they had to explain. He seems like a wonderful person, but as you said yourself, grief can make you irrational sometimes, and it definitely doesn't look like he processed it all. In any case, he's a wonderful man, and I'm glad he found a partner that is attentive and empathetic. You two take good care of each other, have a wonderful new year, and lots of love. You deserve it. Opie replies, I'm currently leaning towards waiting for him to bring it up himself, but of course I hope that it happens kinda soon, so the grief and trauma don't consume him more than they already have. Thank you for your kind words. Holy crap, I think we were all thinking that he had the worst intentions in the beginning, but that couldn't be more wrong. This man was a hero, and unfortunately his family has turned it into a dirty secret. I feel for you both so much. I don't really have any advice. I just want you to know that you're both incredible people, and I hope your love finds a way, and you're able to raise a beautiful family together, if you choose. Opie replies, It's really sad how the family handled it, but I can't really blame them because I grew up in the same area. We live in a provincial, non-progressive city, and their family even lives in a more rural community where everyone knows everyone. If there's any scandal that potentially tarnishes the family name, it's swept under the rug. I guess the heroic part of the story is something the family could have been proud of, but the trauma, anger issues, lashing out and antisocial behaviour that Jay developed, as well as how Beth left the community afterward, outweighed everything, so the entire thing just became the family's dirty secret. Sadly, that anger never went away. It's sadness now. Be understanding and make sure your family understands as well. Opie says, yeah, I'm trying to figure out a way to tell my family to be more sensitive about the subject around Jay without outright telling them the story because it's not mine to tell. Thank you. One downvoted comment says, is it just me or do I feel like Beth is a total piece of crap for how she treated Jay? It's easy to say that as an outsider. Grief really, really F's with someone's thought process. I don't blame anyone in this situation. Beth probably was looking for someone else to blame for her daughter's death. Opie replies, yeah, the only person I blame is the distracted driver. I don't normally curse, but F her. She didn't just kill a baby, she destroyed a loving family. From all his family stories, Jay seemed to be a very upbeat, warm and sociable guy before the incident. I don't really blame Beth for how she reacted and processed her grief. As I mentioned in another comment, she never outright blamed Jay, but the family assumed she did for how she treated him afterwards. Again, we don't live in a very progressive area. She lost her daughter, and she was also young back then. She was just around 24 when it all happened. Even if I never knew her, I wish Beth nothing but peace and healing throughout all of this. Another comment says, she died as he was hugging her. I can't imagine the grief he went through. Opie says, that's also something bothering me a lot. Of course, I'm just assuming here, but knowing how much of an overthinker Jay is who hyperfixates on what-ifs, I know he's replayed that moment in his head a million times, overanalyzing every little detail. One of the worst things he could possibly be thinking is that maybe he was the one who killed Rosie, because it was the whiplash and not the actual crash that impacted her the most. It's bad enough that he lost his niece and best friend, but for her to die in his arms and thinking that it was him who might have accidentally killed her instead of saving her is absolutely horrible. That's the what if I fear he's thinking the most, and just to be clear, no one actually blames him. Why are they so hard-pressed on forcing him to interact with the child more than he wants to? Instead of letting him get comfortable in his own time, you're all forcing him to do it right now. I'm very uncomfortable with children, but given time I'll come around. I just need to get over the anxiety and panic about hurting them by accident. If somebody in their family were this insistent, I'd just be more uncomfortable. And Opie replies, I don't think anyone is really forcing him though. In the 2 years we've welcomed Anna into this world, no one has forced Jay to interact with her just for the sake of it. I've been interacting with Anna every time our family gets together, and Jay has been distant but fine overall, and we just let him be because it was never an issue. We all just accepted that he wasn't comfortable around kids. Also, when I was encouraging him to interact more during Christmas Eve, it was more along the lines of, hey, you know you're welcome to help us with this dollhouse, you know. I know you're judging my lack of craftsmanship here, lol. Amy's intention of bringing this to my attention is just to make Jay feel more welcome in our family. Again, it was me who assumed that maybe Jay was just awkward with Anna because he might have felt like an outsider and he didn't want to overstep. My entire conversation with Amy was rooted more in including Jay in our family and making him feel comfortable enough. However, given everything I've learned, I'll make sure that everyone is more sensitive with this subject around him. Okay, and that's enough with comments. Let's go to an update. Hi, it's been a while since my first post. I have some major updates for anyone interested. You may check my profile for my previous post. Also, I took some time to organise my thoughts first to make sure I don't miss anything pertinent. It's kinda long as a lot has happened since, so I divided this into sections to make it easier to follow. Part 1. The Confession. Since learning about Rosie and posting here on Reddit, I've been so conflicted about what to do. A lot of you had opposing opinions and all of them had merit, but knowing Jay and how he'd most likely react, I chose to keep it a secret until I find the perfect time. What I didn't anticipate was that the perfect time would come in the form of a pregnancy scare. Back in January, I had a false positive. Everything happened so quickly within a day. I had a roller coaster of emotions, but bottom line was that I'm not pregnant after all. When Jay got back home that night, I knew I had to tell him everything. I told him I had a pregnancy scare, but he has nothing to worry about since it ended up being negative. At that moment, I saw all the blood drain from his face, and he became so pale that I was worried he was going to faint. I was holding his hand, and he became so sweaty and cold and shaky. He rushed to our refrigerator to get some water, and it was obvious he was spiraling really hard. That was when I told him I knew about Rosie. I came clean because I knew that was what he was panicking about. I assured him that I'm by his side and he could react however he wanted to. I repeatedly apologised for disrespecting his trust and lying to him for weeks. I also asked him to please not be mad at his family because they meant well when they told me. Throughout all of it, I couldn't really read Jay's expressions. I wasn't sure if he was about to scream out of anger or burst into tears. I told him that we don't have to talk about it any further if he doesn't want to, but I'd be willing to listen and support him whenever he's ready. His only response that time was him asking me if I wanted to break up with him, which confused me. I told him of course not. Then we hugged. Then he said he needs some time to process everything before we discuss it, which I respected. For the rest of the week we tried to interact like nothing happened, but everything was awkward since there's this huge thing hanging between us. Part 2. The Talk. The following weekend, which was 8 days after, we finally sat down and talked about everything. He started by apologising for not telling me sooner, but he revealed that his last girlfriend dumped him after he told her about Rosie. He said he was so relieved after I reassured him that I wouldn't do that. He then told me that it was something that's been weighing him ever since, and he confirmed that he's never sought or received professional help. However, he said that he's very much open to doing that, but he didn't think he's ready yet. He also said he's afraid to go down that path because it might release some inner demons and drag me down with him. Another thing Jay told me was that ever since Rosie was born, he felt an instant and deep connection and a sense of responsibility for her, even when he was just a teenager at that time. He said that having Rosie in his life made him realize how much he wanted to be a father when he's older. However, since the incident, he's afraid of messing things up again, so he never really considered having kids from then on, despite really wanting to do so. I then reassured him that we're on the same page on this. Although I also want to have kids with him in the future, I don't want to force it on him when he's not ready. He also said that whenever he sees me with Anna, my niece, he gets kinda jealous because he wants to join us every time. However, he constantly reminds himself to keep his distance just to be safe. I told him he doesn't have to worry about that, and that he's more than welcome to join us if he wants to. I also told him that my sister and the rest of my family actually considers him a part of our family, just to reassure him more. Jay tried to lighten the mood by joking and saying now that I know everything about him and still didn't break up with him, I could finally expect a proposal anytime soon. We both had a good laugh, but we agreed to wait for his recovery first before getting engaged or discussing our future family. Part 3. Beth. During our discussion, Jay also had another heartbreaking revelation. He said that during the height of the pandemic, Beth's husband, Brian, reached out to him. Brian said that Beth had COVID and was confined in a hospital, and that he was already running low on funds due to bills and unemployment. He also said that Beth had been almost catatonic since Rosie's passing. She had been resistant to any outside and professional help, but she was institutionalized for about a year after a self-harming incident. For the past decade, she's been cold, distant, and withdrawn from society. Apparently, the rest of Jay's family also knew about this, but again they just swept it under the rug. To be fair, they had been helping Brian by sending financial aid to support Beth, but their version of the story was that Beth had just gone low contact since they moved. Also, to be very clear, Jay said that Beth never blamed him for what happened to Rosie, although he initially felt that way when he was younger. It was more of their parents interpreting and spinning things a certain way to avoid tarnishing their family's reputation. But when Brian reached out to him directly years ago, he started to understand better. However, he still hasn't processed everything, and he still partly blames himself for the whole thing. Part 4. Our current situation. For now, what we're exploring is couples therapy so we can discuss our mutual issues in a safe and pressure-free space, and hopefully kind of ease him into the world of therapy. We've already found the perfect therapist to help us, and we've now had 6 sessions with her. From what I can tell, Jay seems a lot happier and less burdened. We've also had homeworks from our session, and Jay was even the one reminding me to do them. Right now, I'm just hoping that he becomes ready enough to open up about Rosie so he can heal and recover from his trauma. Not for me, but for his mental and emotional well-being. No rush though, all in his own time. Also, Jay has no social media, but I showed him the original Reddit post I made. He spent like 3 hours reading through all the comments. It was the first time I saw him get teary-eyed because he never expected so many people giving him support and saying kind words to him. He was extremely overwhelmed by everyone's kindness, so we're both grateful to all of you for that. We also saw some TikTok and YouTube versions of the story, and you bet Jay browsed through all of them. He's still baffled why the TikTok versions have Minecraft or cooking videos in the background, but I just told him it's a trend, haha. So there, if you've made it this far into our story, thank you for your time. I have a good feeling that Jay and I are going to be fine. We still have a lot of challenges ahead of us, but here's to hoping for the best. Now for some more comments. I hope Jay continues healing and eventually Beth somehow gets out of the mental hole she's in. Both of them went through something horrible that no one who hasn't been in that situation can comprehend. Thoughts for both of them. Opie says, "Thank you for your kind words. As for Jay, I can see that he's already making some progress, even though it's more like baby steps. Nonetheless, it is still progress. As for Beth, I can't even begin to imagine what she's going through. I just pray that she finally finds some peace, eventually." I'm so happy with this update, that now Jay knows that you're on his side and is getting professional help. What happened to Rosie was a tragedy and wasn't his fault at all. My heart hurts to think of the weight he must be carrying for all this time. Wishing you two all the best. Opie says, yeah, he started to open up more about his internal struggles and burdens, but he hasn't touched on the subject of Rosie yet. The least I can do for him is to let him know I'm here for him. Thank you for your kind words. Opie comments further on Jay's family. I won't make excuses for them. On a human, personal level, they're extremely lovely, generous, and kind people. They've welcomed me as a part of their family, and they even extended help when my sister's daughter, Anna, had congenital health problems. I've met different relatives of my ex's before, and in comparison, Jay's family has been the most wonderful and welcoming. However, I would say that they are a product of the very traditional, non-progressive area in which we live. We are a Catholic community, and most activities revolve around our parish. Reputation is everything, yet town gossip is still very rampant. I understand that this may sound backward thinking in our modern times, but that is the reality of our lives. I also grew up in the same area, so I fully understand their behaviour. Although I agree with you that everything that happened and how they reacted to it had been unfortunate to say the least, and Jay and Beth got the brunt of it. Alrighty folks, and Opie makes a separate post on relationship advice titled, "My friends tell me that I'm in a toxic relationship with my boyfriend, but I don't think I am. What do I do?" I have been in a relationship with my boyfriend Jay for 6 years. Last Christmas I made a huge discovery about Jay's life. Long story short, his 3-year-old niece died in his arms when he was just 17 years old. They were extremely close, and they were playing in their yard when a car hit them. He tried to save her, but he eventually couldn't. He blamed himself for it, and his family covered everything up. Jay never received any support or professional help. Also, his sister, his niece's mum, had become catatonic following the incident, and she moved to another country with her husband. Everything resulted in Jay being uncomfortable about the topic of kids, even though he actually wanted to have his own due to his unresolved issues. Fast forward to January, I found out that I had an early miscarriage that led to a false positive pregnancy test. I was lucky that I had my sister with me throughout the day when all of this happened, but then when I came home, of course I had to tell Jay. He then spiraled and had a full-on panic attack, but this eventually led to us confronting his trauma and us getting therapy. We've been in couples therapy since late February. Everything was going smoothly, and our goal was to slowly ease Jay into therapy. Then when he feels ready, he'd have individual sessions to address his issues surrounding his niece's passing. That started last June. We've been having a couples therapy session once a month, then he'd have individual sessions 3 or 4 times a month. There were times he even had to go 2 times a week. I won't go into too much detail anymore, but it has been extremely difficult for us. I can only imagine how painful and difficult it is for him. I'd like to preface this by saying that ever since I met Jay, he had been extremely kind, sweet, gentle, and caring. I've never heard him curse, and he's always the peacemaker when we chance upon conflicts or commotions, in restaurants, stores, etc. He's usually reserved and brooding, but he also jokes around a lot. We have a running joke of out-punning each other in the grocery store for various products and brands we see. He's also never raised his voice. If he's mad or annoyed at me, he just gets quiet and sleeps it off. Then we'd discuss it in a civil manner the next day. I've never seen him actually get angry at me or anything for that matter. However, when he started with his individual therapy sessions, I noticed that he started getting more irritable, neurotic, and easily triggered by a lot of small things that never bothered him before. He's also been cooking less and less. He says that cooking has always been his happy place before, and we've been ordering in a lot more. I can feel him almost always being restless, like there are always a million things going through his mind, and he wants to say something but somehow couldn't. There were also times when he wakes up at night and just sits by our window, staring at nothing, like he's in deep thought or something. I tried to talk to him once during those times, but it was as if he couldn't hear me. Also, he's been less endearing towards me. Like he's not cold or harsh or anything, it's just he doesn't seem to be as sweet as before. In our past 5 anniversaries, he had these elaborate plans that always led to an extremely sweet and memorable experience. A romantic dinner at a celebrity restaurant, a video greeting from all my friends and family, a concert of our favourite band, a musical show that I love, and a meet and greet with my favourite author. This year, though, he totally forgot our anniversary. He then tried to make up for it by buying me a nice dress, which isn't even the correct size. Last week, Jay and I were invited to a housewarming party of one of my best friends. The two of us were originally supposed to attend, but he suddenly didn't feel well, so he just dropped me off and went home. There, my best friends had some sort of intervention for me. They said that they were all worried about me because they've been noticing how Jay has been treating me lately. They said that he's been somewhat neglectful of me, and that he doesn't treat me like how I deserve. They noticed that he's been leaving me alone a lot, flaking out on a lot of gatherings, and had been generally distant towards me and everyone else. They were even concerned if Jay had been abusive towards me, which I categorically denied since he'd never ever harmed me. Lastly, my friends said that Jay had not been providing me with the emotional support I need. The past months I had been venting out to them about various things, including my job, some family problems, and my miscarriage. They said Jay should have been the first person I share these things with, but I just told them that I couldn't. Of course, I couldn't tell them about Jay's trauma and everything else going on in his personal life. They even theorized that maybe Jay is cheating on me, which I can confidently refute. Then they advised me to break up with him if he doesn't shape up and treat me right, because they said that I deserve better. Right now, I just don't know what to do. I love and respect Jay a lot, and I know that his personality change is caused by his trauma and therapy. Our therapist warned us that this might happen because of the severity of his trauma, so I was somewhat prepared, and I still know that he's still the Jay I love and care for. However, I had no idea that to outsiders, our relationship already looked and felt toxic. I made a commitment to Jay that I'll be with him throughout his recovery process, and I fully believe he'll get through this, however long it takes. Despite everything, I still love him. I don't know how to reach and connect with him now. Maybe I should also go into individual therapy myself. I don't know, it's now kinda out of our budget, and his trauma seems higher priority than what I'm going through right now. Maybe I should just wait it out. Or maybe I should listen to my friends and consider taking a break from our relationship. I really don't want to do that because Jane needs my support. But is it the right move for me? Ah man, that's tragic. I mean, surely it couldn't hurt to just tell your friends that he might be going through something. Like, you don't have to go into details, but just mention that you know why his personality has changed like this, and you're not worried about it. I don't know. Let's see what the comments think. The therapist is, unfortunately, completely right about it getting worse before it gets better. Sometimes healing looks a lot like falling apart, kind of like a caterpillar turning to goo before it can be a butterfly. They need to work on it in couples counselling. He may need to evaluate if his personal therapist is the best fit. They may be, but maybe not too. I think they should also pick out, as a couple, potentially with a therapist, a few very trusted friends and family that Opie can fully disclose what's going on, if she's not already. Everyone else should be thanked for their concern, but also told to mind their business. Quote, Jay went through something extremely traumatic over a decade ago and is now actively working to confront and overcome that trauma, so he's going through a lot of personal stuff right now. Tell her friends that, maybe. Wonder if Jay is realizing he was on pause and disassociating for so long that now that he's unpacking his deep trauma, nothing feels like it fits him anymore. Not an excuse for how he's treating OP, who has been nothing but kind and caring and patient, but I wonder what's going on in his mind. Yeah, it's a good point actually. Realistically, it's probably a bit of column A, a bit of column B. But at the end of the day, one thing I am certain of is this is way above my pay grade, and way above Reddit's as well. But regardless, I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. What do you think OP should do here? Let me know in the comments. Anyway guys, that's it from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed those stories. Thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.